athlete starting times today as well. One of the favorites of Estonian biathlon fans, Andreis Rastorgujevs, will start today with beat number 5. Fourth man at the Olympic Games, Finn Olli Hiirensalo, today with beat 12. Lithuanian beat out Australia, beat 14. Isa Frey, beat 18. Johannes Dahle, 42. Vetes Jostat Christiansen, 46. Johan Olav Botten goes to start with beat 48. Quentin Fillon-Maillet, beat 50. Emilien Jacquelin, beat 52. World Cup leader Eric Perrault starting today with beat 54. Martin Ponsiloma, beat 60. Martin Uldal, 62. Campbell Wright, 64. Sebastian Samuelsson, 66. And Sturla Holm-Läireedi starting with beat 68. No Maur, sa olid siin täna varakult platsis. Räägi siis inimestele, järgmised päevad seejuures ärge muretsege, päike tuleb ja päikest tuleb nii, et on tuldud ja ei peagi välismaale minema enam märtsis. Aga see tänane ilm, need tänased olud, mille sportlased rajale lähevad ja see 3,3 kilomeetrine ring, milline ta on?
Jaa, kõigepealt sellest viimast tahtsin rääkida, see seene vihm ma ei ole veel näinud, et märtsikuus vihm veel seeni kasvama paneks. Aga see möödub ja ilmaennustus läheb järjest paremaks, isegi pühapäevane päev on, tõotab tulla päikseline, nii et
3-1-1. Ja Lithuania 0-5-7. Thank you.
И тогда Яно, тебе надо интегрировать свою команду, кому есть желтый номер, кому есть синий и так далее. Потому что на этих номерах
58 on siin.
Something should be.
Oh yeah, also for me. Thank you.
Welcome to Otepää, where after a short flight across the Baltic Sea, we touched down for the penultimate stage of the IBU World Cup. First time that the World Cup has been held here since 2022, and we kick off the action with the men's 10-kilometre sprint. 3 laps of 3.3 kilometres. You can see the course on your screens now. 2 shooting stages and a 150-metre penalty loop for any missed shots. Well, the conditions tricky today, to say the least. The Wax Techs have their work cut out, and of course around the course today there will be ramifications for the athletes in terms of what they're having to face. There's a look at the wind flags as well. 9 degrees Celsius. You can see the wind as well as the rain coming down. Scott Dixon, this is the first of 4 days here in Estonia, and of course the end of the 25-26 season is getting closer and closer. This discipline, Globe, is still all to play for. How challenging will these conditions be today?
Well, at the best of times, this track is very, very hard. There are incredibly steep hills. As soon as they leave out of the shooting range, it's up, 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 and it just gets steeper and steeper. So they have a lot to battle with, just the course intensity, but now with these horrible wet conditions, they are really in for a challenge. And those who are in good form will rise to the top today for sure.
Yep, far from ideal, and we'll see that as we go round. But of course, it is part of the ever-changing landscape of biathlon, something that year on year the athletes, the teams behind the teams, the wax techs, of course, are having to deal with. So let's take a look at the sprint standings. You can see the start list, of course, flash across your screen at the minute. The current red bib holder is, of course, Tommaso Giacomel. Encouraging signs this week as we saw him document his recovery from minor heart surgery on social media, and great to see him back with a smile on his face, and we look forward to having him back with us on the World Cup next season. Sebastian Samuelsson then is now the active leader. He's on 274 points in hunt of the Crystal Globe, but he does have a couple of serious contenders, and two of them the French pursuers in Eric Perrault, who secured 2 small Crystal Globes. You can see him there, bib 54, the yellow bib, of course, ranked #1 in the world, having one eye maybe on that Grand Slam, and of course the big globe edging closer and closer. What a season it would be for him. He's on 241 points. Behind him, Quentin Fillon-Maillet on 202, and then a real battle led by the Norwegians with Johan Olav Botten on 200, Johannes Dale Skjevdal 196, and Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen 191. Is there anyone else you want to throw into the picture? Scott Dixon, who could be in with a chance. You look at Philip Navrat, maybe even down to Martin Ponsaloma. If things swing and change, we have 2 sprints left. There is still so much to play for in this discipline.
Well, I hate to say it, because Sebastian Samuelsson is one of my favourite biathletes and has been for a long time. But if he isn't able to produce top results now in these next 2 races, he could be under threat, certainly from Eric Perrault. We know that he is one of the top contenders, probably the top contender. But behind Eric Perrault, only 50 points back, we have Christiansen, like you already said, and Navrat on the exact same points. I wouldn't go as far back as that, though. I don't think Sebastian Samuelsson is off form right now. So, yep, the Swede likely to come away with a globe, but he'll struggle with Eric Perrault really in top shape.
Having a quick look at some of our early bibs, we saw Jack Jeffries there of Great Britain, one of the athletes who thrives, it seems to be, in the early bibs. We saw him equal his personal best in the individual last week in Kontiolahti. Another early bib number for him today. Here's Rasta Gulevs of Latvia going bib #5. We know what he can do in his day, but more suited these days to the 4 shooting stage races. The mascot in there having plenty of fun, and of course this acting as one of the big trial events for Otepää before the World Championships, which kick off next year, 7th of February through till the 21st. Get those dates in your diary nice and early, and you can see, Scott, just how much it means to Estonia having those World Championships on the horizon.
Absolutely, and these are always great events here in Otepää, one of the best venues, such a unique course, and I think the athletes enjoy that variety. Of course, we know the Kontiolahti that's just been, that course is very hard, very steep hills, but here, equally, very steep, very long, and continuous hills, but completely different weather conditions.
Great to hear the noise early on in this competition week. Of course, kicking off with this men's 10-kilometre sprint. The women will take to the tracks tomorrow before the pursuits on Saturday and the mixed relays on Sunday. So here we go. The penultimate sprint of the season, the penultimate stage of the World Cup season is here. And it is Vladislav Kirayev of Kazakhstan who gets this underway. Set a new personal best, finishing 20th in Hopfilzen in the pursuit this season, and has really improved on his ski speed. Up next, Sondre Slettermark of Greenland, still only 21 years old. This is his first race since making his debut at the Olympic Games, where he finished 60th in the sprint. Can he edge once again into the pursuit?
I was so impressed with his ability to climb in that race. Imagine just getting into the 60th spot and then climbing to 54th, that is not an easy thing to do, and that is in large part due to his remarkably good shooting.
Wearing that specially designed race suit that we see him and his sister racing, of course, through the Winter Games, of course over the World Cup season as well. Jan Gunke qualified for every pursuit this season except for Hochfilzen, and a reminder, if you are joining us for the first time after that record-breaking Winter Olympic Games just last month, the top 60 qualifying through to the pursuits which take place on Saturday.
Such a dynamic start there from Gunke, absolutely powering out, and of course pacing in a race like this is critical. Go out too hard and you can really pay the price on the last lap.
Someone who is loving his first season on the World Cup, wearing the colours of Great Britain, is Jack Jeffries. Previously represented France at junior level, opting this season to race for the birth country of his parents. Made his Olympic debut last month and is soaking up every opportunity that goes his way. Did qualify for the pursuit on his first attempt in Onsiela-Grand-Bonnard. He's a man who performed very well last week in Kontiolahti. Andres Orlasteguyevs finishing 9th in the individual, just 2 missed shots on that day, 8th in the mass start. Seems to be in good form.
Yeah, really good shape, and to put it into perspective, he skied faster than Sebastian Samuelsson in the individual, the 20k, just last week, and Sebastian Samuelsson, as we've already noted, one of the favourites for today and the Crystal Globe in this event.
Krasimir Chunkovic of Croatia. This is his best event, now 31 years old. An occasional feature on the World Cup. Not a flag in a race suit we see represented too often. Great to have him back here in Otepää. Has seen a drop-off in his ski speed this season. He'll be looking to crank that back up, but maybe hard-pressed to do that today with the conditions. Kristo Sima receiving the love from the crowd, the Estonian in the start gate. Best result this season came in the sprint in Onsiela-Grand-Bonnard, finishing 26th. He then replicated that in the pursuits, and it's great to see the flags flying high as he bursts out of the gates.
Yeah, well, he'll be very used to training here, racing here, and that does have an advantage, of course, knowing how to manage your body around the steep inclines, not going too hard to begin with. A big insight that can sometimes be overlooked, as we saw from the likes of Gunke, who really attacked out the start gates.
Emilie and Claude now. All 3 of the Claude brothers racing today, and the other 2 going off side by side. Just 30 seconds will be separating them later down the order. Only career podium for Emilie and Claude came in the individual, taking silver in Ruhpolding last season.
Yeah, I think there's an advantage to going early in a race like this. Those conditions are going to get worse as the race goes on, quite likely, rather than better. So an opportunity for Claude to perhaps get up there into the top spots, maybe top 10 could be good for him today.
Dmitry Shemaev of Romania. Set his personal best in the short individual in Novo Mesto just before the Winter Olympic Games. It's Jan Gunke, who is approaching 100 World Cup starts, who goes through in the lead in the first time check out of our early bibs. Mikulas Karlik of Czechia is next to start his journey. 2-time Olympian, now huge improvement in his ski speed this season, really stepped up, and he's brought his standing shooting back up to the level it required to be as well.
And you can see the snow just a little bit orange in places, and it's a very dirty conditions, and that does really make the skis slow down a lot as the race goes on. So not only will they get tired, but their skis are going to get slower as well.
Here's Adam Runnels. That's the best of 13th in the sprint in Antholz in 22-23 season. Here's bib number 1, Kilaev. 5 minutes and 2 seconds through the 2-kilometre mark, continuing up this climb. Olli Hinsalo, well, what a story he's been over the course of the last 12 months. 4th in the individual at the Olympic Games, and 12 months before that, 4th at the World Championships. Well supported today, the Finn.
Yeah, 30 out of 30 at Olympic Games, individual followed by a sprint. That's hard to do at the best of times, let alone at the Olympic Winter Games when it matters the most.
Christo Sima coming through the 1.2 kilometre mark. He has a lead of 1.4 seconds. A little green indicator. And all the athletes will want to be in the green.
It's a lovely section of the course here where it loops back around through the fields, the open space. You can see your competitors, you can still hear your coaches, and there is a long recovery section.
Tautas Stolja of Lithuania. His 4 career World Cup flower ceremonies. And not too far away from 300 World Cup starts. There's Kilaev with number 1, making his way around the course.
Well, there you go. Fast.
He's a man in form and a 10-second lead over Jack Jeffries. Rastaguyev's flying around the early stages of this course. Nicola Romanin now of Italy. A 10th World Cup start for him today. Only made his World Cup debut last year, 32 years old. And, well, 11 years on from competing at the Junior World Championships. He made his first appearance at an Olympic Games.
Fry with an intact rifle. That's a nice sight to see after the dramas in the mass start in Kontiolahti.
Still will be learning for Isak Fry, 22 years old. And you'd put him, surely, Scott, amongst your ones to watch in these early bibs. Maybe along with this man, Jakov Fak.
Yeah, Jakov Fak, he can shoot. His skiing form, obviously, it can be at the top when he peaks, but he is seldom there consistently, and I don't expect to see him up there in terms of ski speed today. But of course, coming off the back of a 20 out of 20, Jakov Fak can do the same again today.
Well, it was what cost him as he finished just outside of the flower ceremony in the individual in Kontiolahti. That final lap, he came so close, just missing out on the end, but does have 10 sprint podiums across his illustrious career. Watching the shooting of the first man into the range, Kilaev. First miss. And that's 2 back-to-back, so an extra 300 metres already added onto his race.
It's painful. When the first 3 go down, it doesn't always happen, but it can lead to a degree of complacency. That feeling in your gut, oh, this is going well, and then that can trip you up for the final 2.
So side by side, Jan Gunker already closing the 30-second stagger on Sander Slettermark, and the 2 will drop down one by one. Jan Gunker, our leader at this point, 1.4 seconds his advantage.
You can see just how wet the mat is, the rainfall having been consistent throughout the 0.
Starts with a miss, but recovers well, Jan Gunker.
24.8 seconds, it's very quick.
What can Jeffries do here?
Well, he's another good shot, and he's made some adjustments to his sight. It was a bit blocked by the lane number, so hard to be precise on what changes have been made. And that resulting in a slightly slower release of the first shot.
First miss. Needs to limit it to just 1. Still, depending on how Rastaguyevs gets on here, will be the leader, but Rastaguyevs is flying through the shots, and there is the leader. Excellent shooting to kick things off. Going clean. And his advantage will be great here as he leaves the range. Jeffries off around the penalty loop. Keep your eyes on the time set by Rastaguyevs. 36.5 seconds, the lead from bib number 5.
Well, if we assume that the track does get a little bit slower, it will become increasingly hard to contend with that time. Rastogujev seizing the opportunity given to him by that early start.
Chunkovic.
Nice, even rhythm between the shots. And delayed to the last one, 3.7 seconds, so a whole 1.2 seconds slower than it took to get the previous 2 down.
And importantly, getting the shots down. He goes clean. Here's Kristo Sima. Home fans desperate for him to go clean. He's good so far. Can he make it 5? He does. Much to the delight of the home Estonian fans.
Well, it's unusual for the Estonians to feel that noise. And I say feel, it's a very deliberate word because you really do feel the energy and the vibrations from thousands of people cheering after you pull the trigger and the target goes down.
Emilian Claude. Very quick hit, but perfect. 5 out of 5, quick shooting. Nod of the head from the coaches.
8.3 seconds slower than Andrei Rastogujev's coming into the range. And now 13 seconds back on Karlik of Czechia, who's just come in and beat Rastogujev's by 4.7 seconds.
So second for now for Emilian Claude, 7.5 seconds behind the early pace set by Rastogujev's. And here is Karlik. 4.7 seconds his lead.
Well, he's absolutely flying at the 2.7 kilometer mark to already have 4.2 seconds on Rastogujev's. And we saw how fast the Latvian was going, so this is pushing the pace.
This is where his big improvements have been on the skis this season. It's more stability in his statistics in the prone position. It's the standing where he had issues last season. That's a good start.
Well, he's in good form off the back of the individual in Kontiolahti. He had the 21st fastest ski time.
3 seconds, he leaves the range behind Rastogujev's. And here is Sexfly. The blue bib, really unmatched in that competition this season, the 22-year-old. Bronze in Ruhpolding. Finds himself 0.8 of a second behind Rastogujev's. Here's Olli Hiidensalo, trails by 13.4 seconds coming into the range. Another very successful season for the Finnish team, led by Erik Tonne-Skolstad.
So quick to that first shot, 11.6 seconds, just a few gasps of air. Oh, look at that, lovely rhythm, lovely accuracy, and a clean 22 seconds to get all 5 targets down.
Great to see the support growing for the Finnish team, who have been creating history these last 2 seasons, pushing the boundaries, and it's Olli Hiidensalo who goes in 5th for now, 11.9 seconds down. Of course, quick shooting, but he was trailing on the skis as he came into the range. Here's David Sobol now. Just 1 World Cup podium. It was Kontiolahti in the individual in the 22-23 season where he took the bronze medal.
I think the Germans could be looking for a good day today with Horn in good form and Philip Navrat, one of the fastest skiers in Kontiolahti across the races. We can expect to see some top results, perhaps from Philip Navrat.
Had the return of Justus Strelo as well, as it's once around the penalty loop for Vitalta Strolia. He picked up a finger injury after the Olympic Games, so this will be Justus Strelo's first race back. Here's Nicola Romanen now.
We've seen some adjustments to the rear sight as the athletes have come in, not everybody. And you can see that 5 kilometer left to right wind. He accounted for that there with an anti-clockwise adjustment. suggesting one click to the right. Missing the first. Getting the remaining 4. Always interesting to only make a single adjustment. It's a very fine couple of millimeters that are moved with a single click. So sometimes it's not worth making those single adjustments, but in this case, it was one click that was made.
Zach Fry now coming in, 6.5 seconds in the lead. He's really picked it up from when we last saw him out on the course.
Well, hopefully this time he doesn't have a malfunction with his rifle. Of course, in the mass start, he completed the race to great applause, but the rifle was not his own, or at least not the one he started the race with.
Great shooting. And we will have a new leader. Zach Fry setting the pace. The blue bib denoting his lead in the under-23 competition. How great will his lead be? 6.4 seconds as he exits the range.
Well, he's a European champion. He went to Shushin on home snow, competed, got the victory there in the pursuit in preparation for the Olympic Winter Games, and of course didn't get the opportunity to race the mass start. Must be painful.
Well, he knows his time will come, though. Pressing on his step up to the World Cup. Our eyes are on David Sobol now at the 1.2 kilometre mark, and he's 8 seconds behind the time of Victor Brandt, who is now our early pace setter out on the course. Get to see Brandt come into the range.
Yeah, Brandt going really fast on the tracks.
Ellard Fund with number 37. Had an excellent European Championships as well while we're on the topic. Taking silver in the pursuit. Picked it up later on the IBU Cup with a win in the pursuit. The exciting young talents for Germany making the transition up from the IBU Cup, which concluded last weekend. Here's Andres Rastaguyevs on the other end of the spectrum in terms of experience. Comes in with a 56.6 second lead. Quick to the first once again. Good rhythm so far. Nice and even, but there's the miss. And it's 2 now, and that's him out of the picture.
Yeah, painful there. To lose the last 2 once again, you can sometimes have that feeling in your stomach where it's going really well, and that feeling can be the decisive factor in missing the last 2.
The time of the leader, Victor Brandt, will go past, or Jesper Nylén.
Well, Victor Brandt with a really solid time for Sweden to be 2.5 seconds ahead of Isak Leknes Fry. After the shoot number 1, hitting all 5 targets, he's clearly in very good form and beating Jesper Nylén by 12.5.
Yeah, quick shooting as well from Victor Brandt, who of the 23 athletes who have come through shooting 1, he's level 3rd with Emilien Claude, 24 seconds. Christo Sima in for his standing shoot. Of course, only 2 visits to the range in these sprint competitions. On course for a perfect 10 out of 10. Can he get there? He does.
Wow, in front of your home crowd.
Well, a great sign of things to come. The Estonians have shown so much promise this year, particularly on the men's side. That record equaling relay team that ran out in Ruhpolding to a 5th place. Here's Niklas Hartvig, 1 miss on the last, still just struggling to refine that form that he had in the 23-24 season. Claude exiting the range, having hit a perfect 10 out of 10. And he won't be too far away from the lead here. Just half a second behind the time set by Christo Siemer.
It's absolutely possible that he can find himself in the top 10 with a ski like that, perhaps even a top 6, if he can do something special in the last lap. But of course, matching Siemer, it appears as though Claude is not on top form today.
Hit to kick things off for Karlik to recover his standing shooting from last season, where it was as low as 56%. This is so much better. He's quick as well, but hesitating on the last.
31 seconds to do the 5 shots. It was a conservative, controlled shoot. The final one, I imagined it was mind games preventing the target going down.
But still a clear sign of improvement from Mikolas Karlik, who, 26-year-old, is stabilising things, and it seems to be up for him. Here is Lucas Hofer. Good performance last week in Kontiolahti in the individual. Eden Salo going for his second shoot.
Wow.
10 out of 10 for Olli Hiidensalo. Well, he is in some fine form. Might be enough for the lead. I don't think it might be close here. Takes a look to one side and he will get there just in time. 2 seconds. The lead of Olli Hiidensalo.
Well, that time up at the top now with Claude Siemer and Hiidensalo all doing well, it suggests that the pace of Claude and Siemer is perhaps way above their average, at least in this third trimester from what we've seen from Kontiolahti.
Johan Olav Botten still very much in the battle for the Crystal Globe in this discipline. 200 points he sat on thanks to victory in Östersund. He really announced himself, and well, what a sign it was of things to come this season for the Norwegian. Hornig, standing shoot, has a lead of 14.7 seconds over Hiidensalo.
He's taking a very controlled rhythm. Oh, look at that. Lovely 5 out of 5. And of course, a lovely 10 out of 10. You won't be pleased to know that Isak Leknes-Frey has just come in to shoot number 2, 20 seconds in ahead of Hornig.
Kantan Feomaye pushing his way out of the blocks, has the best ratio of Olympic medals to starts in Olympic history. Here's Isak Frey now, 10 out of 10. And we will have a new leader, and it will be by a decent margin now for the blue bib.
Wow, and he did it in 21.4 seconds. Hardly enough time for the cameras to get on him with Quentin Feomaye getting started.
Bronze in Ruhpolding. Can he improve on that today? Takes a look to one side. He'll see the time. 28 seconds, his advantage. And he needs to keep pushing because all the favourites are stacked behind him, including Johannes Dale Shevdal, a lead of 0.8 of a second. The silver medal in Ansila Grandbonnat ahead of this man, Emilien Jacquelin. painfully missing out on the podium in the Olympic Games. Just 0.2 of a second in it between him and Sturla Holmlegard for the bronze medal. Here's Klichmar of Czechia. His first shoot goes so far, 4 out of 4. Does he make it 5? He does. Trailing though by 7.3 seconds coming in. The time of Victor Brandt still standing.
He takes a look at the screen. Of course, athletes have the opportunity to see themselves if they're at the sharp end, see where they stand as they come through the checkpoint, so long as the cameras are on them.
Leonard Fund, a miss, the first of the day. Victor Brandt has his first miss as well. It's now 2 for Leonard Fund.
What a shame for Brandt. He was only 2 seconds behind Fry, the Norwegian.
Well, what a season it's been for Eric Perrault, writing his own narrative at the highest level. 2 small crystal globes already secured in the mass start and the individual. He goes in hunt of another, and he's not too far away. The end is in sight with his eyes firmly fixed on the big crystal globe, that total score globe. Lastaguyev's 2 misses, really challenging final shooting stage. He found himself in such a good position before that, was setting the early pace, and as he pushes towards the line, he will be the 3rd across it and will go into the lead temporarily with a time of 25 minutes and 15 seconds, a lead of 26 seconds over Jan Gunke. Keeping our eyes on Crystal Seamer, now our new leader. Clean shooting, 42.8 seconds the advantage over Lastaguyev's.
Lombardo just coming into the shooting 2, going well. He is 19.5 seconds down behind Fry.
Here he is, Oscar Lombardo. Just hesitating before the 3rd. Back to rhythm for the 4th.
Lovely.
10 out of 10.
That control there for the last shot. There was the hesitation, the pause, the recalibration, the squeeze, and a lovely hit.
Not enough for the lead. Where will he find himself? Will be 4th for now for Oscar Lombardo. Here's Johannes Dale Shevdal. 1 miss came in with that really promising 3.7 second lead, but that disappears, and once around the penalty loop he goes. Disappointment on the face of Sigrid Marzé, who will leave the Norwegian team at the end of the season. Of course, shake up in the French team as well.
Well, he'll be pleased to know that Christiansen is going very, very well on the skis at the 2.7K with a 1.6 second lead over 2nd place, Philip Horn.
Nicholas Karlik crossed the line in 2nd, 6.1 seconds down, of course owing to that miss, and of course that 150-metre penalty loop added on. He sandwiches it himself ahead of Emilien Claude, who are clean shooting on the day. Couldn't find it on the skis though. Fry now. Just how long will the time that he sets stands for? 23 seconds is advantage through 8.7 kilometres. Heden Salo fighting towards the line. And he will take the lead. 1.8 seconds in it. Clean shooting. Another excellent day in the office for Heden Salo. Will he be rewarded for it at the moment? Looks unlikely. Shooting 1 for Vetle Shostar Christiansen, and a first miss. 6.6 seconds was his lead, but that all disappears now.
Well, off the back of 2 third places, Christensen would be wanting to step it up today. And he's certainly doing that in terms of the ski speed. He's not the fastest. Botton's just a little bit ahead of him, at least at the 2.7 kilometer mark, but he is ahead of Fry. Not with that penalty loop, though.
And here is Johan Olav Botten, Olympic champion in the individual. There's a lead coming into shooting 1.
Well, he goes through the usual routine, looks at the flags, makes sure there's no adjustments required. The left elbow goes down, he puts pressure on it to lock it into place. Always shooting calm and slow and deliberate in prone. An extra breath. There he is with another extra breath. It's going to be a long time to get the final shot. 10 seconds.
Crucially, though, he gets it down, but it will mean that he loses the lead. Came in with a strong advantage, and that disappears, but he does avoid the penalty loop. And coming out of shooting 1, he goes into 4th.
Well, it might sound absolutely crazy, 8.5 seconds down, but that extra couple seconds on the mat for a man like Johan Olav Botten and his recovery rapidity, those seconds are actually not just sunk time, he is also lying on that mat recovering.
So Isak Frey comes into the home straight. And we will have a new leader. Across the line, 21.9 seconds ahead of Hornig. As the Olympic champion in the range comes in with a 4.3 second advantage and will break the position quickly. Clean shooting to start for Kenton Fiormaye. Won't be the lead though, that will stay with Victor Brandt. Into 4th he goes now, pushing down Botten into 5th. Won't be too long before we see Emilien Jacquelin. He's worth keeping an eye on in this race.
Well, he's already going very, very quickly coming into the range, setting the fastest time, and of course we see so often with Emilien Jacquelin, he just gets slower throughout the course of the race, but that was less the case last week in Kontiolahti, where we saw some excellent last laps from this man.
A 10.5 second advantage and 5 out of 5 to kick things off for Emilien Jacquelin, who will be our new leader at shooting 1. He'll have a lead of around 8 seconds. It's 8 seconds exactly. And Emilien Jacquelin is now top of the standings.
Well, he shot fast, but by his standards, he shot slow, 26.5 seconds.
Our eyes on Mikhail Krichmar of Czechia, 5 out of 5 to kick things off. He's now back for standing shooting and started well. Trails though by 20.8 seconds. And is able to steady the barrel for perfect shooting today.
Lovely
Here's Eric
control.
Perrault. Doesn't have a win in this discipline this season, Eric Perrault. And that record may remain. He stumbles out of the position and is around the penalty loop.
Well, Sebastian Samuelsson will be comforted by that miss. Of course, Samuelsson will be most afraid of Botten to take that top spot in the Crystal Globe.
Sebastian Samuelsson just getting his race started around the 1 kilometre mark at the minute. It won't be, of course, too long at all before we see him come in to his first visit to the range. As out comes Eric Perrault. Where will this place him? 19th for now. Plenty of work to do for Eric Perrault. can see the athletes streaming now into that home straight. 21 of the 107 already across the line. As we are watching out for Oscar Lombardo, who's just fallen behind the picture as Fabian Claude comes away with one miss. Oscar Lombardo goes second.
Just as he does that, Filip Navrat comes into the range with the fastest time, a whole 3.1 seconds ahead of Emilien Jacquelin. And I do suspect we're going to see great things from this man today.
Silver medalist in Oberhof comes in with a lead. Strelo is away with one miss. It was his first race back after the Olympic Games owing to that hand injuries. Here's Filip Navrat. 5 out of 5, not a bad start there.
Class act, perfect timing between shots. Approximately 2.8 seconds, enough time for a breath and a slow release. Hold, squeeze the trigger. Navrat really displaying that perfect shoot from Contilati.
Inside a second of the leader, Emilien Jacquelin. Here's Johannes Dahle-Skjevdal, of course, that one miss in the prone position. He finds himself 25.2 seconds back. Only enough for 8 out of 10 today. Dahle-Skjevdal. Here's Martin Ponsaloma, one of the stories of the Olympic Games. What an Olympic Games he had. Looking to continue that form into this penultimate week, but a miss on the second, then again on the third.
The graphics having a little dance there, suggesting a miss on the second and fourth now, but Ponsaloma way off the pace, at least relative to where we expect to see him in the overall first lap standings. He's down in 10th.
So work to do for the Olympic champion in the pursuit. Lucas Hoffer missed the last. Vladimir Iliev looking to come close to the time of Oscar Lombardo, and that time will pass, so he won't find himself on the early podium for now. Well, he does, just ahead of Hornig. Well, actually, he's level on time with Hornig, both sharing a finish time that is 21.9 seconds behind Isak Frey. A miss for Martin Uldal to kick things off in his first visit to the range. Arttu Heikkinen comes away with a perfect 10 out of 10. Great shooting today from the Finnish team.
Christensen now in the top right of the screen. He missed one in prone. He's now missed one in stand as well. So the Norwegians not looking so great in behind Isak Leknes Frey, of course, who still remains at the top at the finish and after shoot 2.
Two Finns currently in the top 10. Hiddensalo and Heikkinen. Here is Johan Olav Botten leading 6.4 seconds. We saw that lead disappear despite the clean shooting in his first visit to the range. Starts with a hit though, 16 seconds to the first shot. A miss on the second as Campbell Wright comes in, and Campbell Wright is 5 for 5.
Well, Botten really taking his time as Campbell Wright gets the perfect 5 for 5. And of course, Botten with a 41.9 shoot in prone, really throwing his chances out the window now.
4th though for Campbell Wright. It's been an up and down season, but it doesn't seem to trouble the mind of the American. Always keeps a cool head. And of course, recently securing that first podium on the World Cup, adding to his medals at the World Championships last year. Here's Sebastian Samuelsson.
Undoubtedly aware of how big this moment is. The crystal globe looming. The rain falling more heavily now than earlier in the race.
A miss for Sebastian Samuelsson. Fiolmaye, the Olympic champion, back in the range. He's clean so far. 9. And that's 10 for Kenton Fiolmaye, who trailed by only 1.4 seconds coming into the range. And he will lead, or leave with the lead.
Wow, absolutely lovely shooting there from Quentin Fiolmaye.
Well, it will just be behind Isak Frey, 4.3 seconds. Not enough for the lead at the moment. Can he find it on the skis? Emilien Jacquelin now, 20.9 seconds. His advantage coming in. And will the lead now change? In excellent shape, Emilien Jacquelin. And no one yet has been able to trouble him.
Well, he's got Legride on his heels.
A lead that doesn't last for long because Sturla Holmgren has gone ahead by 0.7 of a second.
Jacquelin there with a 20.5 second lead over Frey out of chute number 2. A time from Frey that has stood the test of time all the way down to bib 52. But now the two can work together with Legride on the final lap alongside, on his second lap with Jacquelin on his last. Jacquelin will really reap the benefits of that timing there because on the last lap, we know that the Frenchman struggles, often having gone so fast on the early laps. And therefore, with Sturla Legride in excellent form, not having missed a podium since the start of the Olympics, he will be going very, very quickly.
He is in the most sublime form, Sturla Holmgren. Campbell Wright has climbed his way up to 3rd. Took his first World Cup podium in the mass start in Novo Mesto before the Olympic Games. Here's Eric Perrault as the rain pours down here in Otepää. 2 misses now for the yellow bib and the World Cup leader. Not to be his day.
Well, you could see the disappointment on his face. 80%. It's no terrible thing, but for Eric Perrault, he knows a 10 out of 10 is so within his grasp. It's so possible. But it does make you wonder if this heavy rainfall now is having an impact in any way on performance.
38 of the 107 already finished. Isak Frey, the leader at the finish line. Lombardo in behind him, and a split bronze medal as things stand with Slav Hornik and Vladimir Iliev level as Johannes Dale Shevdal comes through 9.4 kilometres, 35.6 seconds down, of course. 2 misses proving ever so costly for the Norwegian.
Well, here is the man of the day in terms of ski form. Absolutely flying. He's got fantastic form. Kontiolahti continuously up at the top in terms of the ski speed and extremely accurate behind the rifle.
The time of the leader will pass though. Can he maintain clean shooting? He's taking his time here, Philip Navrat. Considered shooting, but it is 10 out of 10.
Absolutely fantastic. 29 seconds to do it. He's retaining that shooting form. He's got the ski form, and now he's going to have to do something special on this last lap if he wants to get anywhere close to Jacquelin's time.
He will though push. Isak Frey down into 3rd, 2nd for Philip Navrat, looking to replicate what he did in Oberhof. Johannes Dale Shevdal is across the line in 7th, 35 seconds down, as you can see the top 10 as things stand there with 42 across the finish line. Challenging conditions, it's been ever so warm. Almost into double figures today. There's Kenton Fiolmaye. Perfect 10 out of 10 for the Olympic champion.
11.4 seconds down on the second lap behind Johan Olof Botten. And of course, if you multiply that by 3, that's more than the time of a penalty loop. And Botten has only had 1 penalty loop.
Kenton Fiormaillet has the lead, but there's not much in it. There's Lucas Hoffer towards the line. 1 miss once around the penalty loop for him. And he will come across the line in 5th, 31.5 seconds down the Italian.
Well, Quentin Fiormaillet is getting caught up by Botten on the last lap, but only by 4 seconds. Inconsequential, Botten has run out of time to do damage.
And here is Emilien Jacquelin. A lead of 22.1 seconds over Kenton Fiormaillet. Has 2 sprint victories in his career. Will it be a 3rd today? Martin Uldar. He has 1 miss. He trails by 33 seconds coming in. Jacquelin is the man to watch at the moment. And of course, Sturla Holmlegreid in blistering form, and not much between those two, just 7/10 of a second at shooting 1. Waiting for Sturla Holmlegreid to come into shooting 2. Excellent shooting, almost for Martin Uldal, who trips as he comes off the mat. So close.
It's been hard to adjust to Uldal's slower shooting, expecting him to just dance through the targets, but not the same kind of rapidity we've seen from him in the past. Now, Ziggy Mazet controlling his impulses.
Johan Olof Botten, the time of the leader, his compatriot Isak Frey has gone past. It won't be a podium today for the Norwegian. Keep your eyes on Campbell Wright in the top of your screen as well. He's perfect so far and well in the battle to add a 2nd World Cup podium to his name. Botten goes into 2nd, 12.1 seconds down. And a 1st miss of the day for Campbell Wright. He needed to stay clean there. Trailed coming in. And a shake of the head.
Yeah, and he's just getting a little slower. He was 11 seconds back on the first lap, 19.4 on the second.
And here is Kenton Fiormaillet. He had a lead of just 1 second at 9.4 kilometres. It's going to be close. Across the line, it's 2nd for now for Kenton Fiormaillet. 0.3 of a second in it. You can see the pain on his face. Couldn't match Isak Frey, that margin, the smallest of margin, 0.3 of a second and into 2nd. Right, Emilien Jacquelin, over to you.
Well, it did look like Quentin Fiormaillet may have had a fall. There's blood coming down his chin, so perhaps that did occur. Hard to see, his laps are not slow, that's for sure.
Well, we're waiting on Emilien Jacquelin, and here he is across the line now with a lead of 19.6 seconds. And is that enough to secure him his 3rd gold medal in this discipline on the World Cup? This man will have something to say about it. Just 0.9 of a second in it as he came into the range, Sturla Holmlegreid, but a perfect 10 out of 10 and 1 big lap to go for the Norwegian. Is it back-to-back golds? After what was a superb Olympic Games, he has burst into life, taking the victory in the mass start and looking to kick-start Otepää with the same level of intensity, but it is 2.8 seconds he trails by.
Jacquelin will be absolutely terrified that the same is going to happen again. First at the Olympics in the sprint, he lost by just 0.2 seconds over Legride, or behind Legride, and therefore didn't get the bronze medal. And now he's being threatened once again, this time for the win here in Otepää. So it will be an uncomfortable wait now for Jacquelin as he'll be watching those splits unfold.
So a nod of the head from Emilien Jacquelin, but it's far from done. Here's Eric Perrault. Not his day-to-day, 2 misses, and he's across the line in 8th.
Well, Ellen, it isn't just the Norwegian with Lagride who could pose a threat to Jacquelin. Navrat has managed to climb all the way from 17.4 seconds since the second shoot. He's now got that down to 7.6 at the 9.4. But with 600 meters left to go, the German surely doesn't have enough space to close another 7.4 seconds on the Frenchman.
No, it looks like he'll run out of real estate. Our eyes focused on where Stella Holm-Lagride will place, but it could be another podium for Philipp Navrat. Took silver in Oberhof. He has a sprint win from a couple of years ago. This is his best discipline by quite some margin. Looking to add yet another podium, a 5th in the sprint and a 6th overall. Pushing towards the line, the time of the leader goes by, but he has closed the gap and he's closed it significantly. And 2nd for Philipp Navrat. As Isak Frey looks to be pushed off the podium, and into the lead goes Sturla Holm-Lagride. 3.7 seconds his lead over Emilien Jacquelin, and you expect that to grow because he's on a charge here. This is 7.9 kilometres. Flying around the final lap. He is in the most exceptional form, and there were so many questions around him before he went to the Olympic Games. Hadn't stood on a podium on the World Cup, went to the Olympic Games, and you couldn't keep him off the podium. And since returning to the World Cup, it has been the same matter.
This young man, such a super talent from Estonia at the Youth Junior World Championships. So much faster than most others in his age category. Showing continuous, remarkable form, and now an opportunity to do something special in front of his home crowd.
Grown, the first miss for Kulbin, and then it's 2 back-to-back. Here's Jeremy Finello of Switzerland. He has a miss to his name already. Will be desperate to keep it clean, although this is the 2nd, now the 3rd. Three times around the penalty loop, he will go. As we're back with Sturla Holm-Lagride.
Well, it looks like he's not just fighting to claim a victory here today, but he is very much now putting himself in the perfect spot to challenge Sebastian Samuelsson in Oslo for the Sprint Globe. Wow.
6.9 seconds, the gap keeps growing and growing.
Flying past Brent.
Incredible strength.
Yeah, really attacking hard there. You could see the relative speed as he gets past Benson of Great Britain. Such unbelievable form, and of course athletes who are as experienced and as brilliant as Sturla Holm-Lagride can plan their form to come up at an event like the Olympics. But for it to sustain so incredibly thereafter, it really has. He has done something special.
Martin Uldal across the line just inside the top 10 for now. Despite those 2 misses, pushing Eric Perrault into 10th. Of course, all important positioning in the battle for the discipline globe. Eric Perrault won't be wanting to be pushed too much further down. Just look at that, extending once again. Sturla Holm-Lagride, gritted teeth, 11.2 seconds. We were so impressed by the time of Emilien Jacquelin when it was set, but now it's being dismantled.
2.6 seconds slower than Navrat on the first lap. The second fastest skier then. Also the second fastest on the second lap behind Botten this time. And I suspect he's going to be the fastest on this last lap by a big margin. But he's got Johannes Daly-Shevdal to contend with. We know what he's like on the last leg. And we know that the conditions are getting slower.
And you can see a perfect picture of that there, just the challenges, some of those browner spots of the snow where the mud is starting to seep through. Here's Sebastian Samuelsson. Second in the standings for this discipline going into today, although he was the active leader. Needed big points today. He will finish just outside of the flower ceremony because that positioning of 6th won't stand, because here comes Sturla Holmlegard. No one has been able to come close to him these last 2 weeks. Unmatched once again today. 10.7 seconds. He betters the time of Emilien Jacquelin by. Back-to-back gold medals on the World Cup. The most exceptional form. And last year's total score winner is well and truly back in business. 10 out of 10 for Christoph Pirce of Italy. Finds himself well behind though in terms of the ski speed, 61.2 seconds coming in, but a perfect 10 out of 10. He secured his place in the top 60 and may even find himself, depending on this final lap, inside the top 20. 22nd he goes for now.
The top 5 in the finish, all with the perfect 10 out of 10, down to Quentin Fillon-Maillet. Botten, the first of those who have missed, but Botten losing so much time in the shooting range, and in a sprint, that really is consequential. Botten still with the second slowest prone shoot, down in 41.7 seconds. 31.8 in stand. The likes of Hanna Öberg will complete 3 shoots in the time Johan Olof Botten does 2. It calls into question whether next year we'll see Johan Olof Botten getting all of his times down a little bit.
Now here's a look back at the race of Sturla Holmlegard, who has climbed 6 places in the Discipline Cup, up to 4th. And what a thrilling final day in this discipline we have in store for Oslo next week, where it all comes to its conclusion. The 25-26 season, what a season it has been. We've had highs and we've had lows, and it's been a real roller coaster. And someone emerging in the most spectacular form is Sturla Holmlegard, sitting now on 266 points. Eric Perrault stays 3rd on 270. Sebastian Samuelsson will go into red.
3 races in a row now. Sturla Holmlegard still has not missed in a sprint. All the way from back in Ruhpolding.
Taschen Danuser of Switzerland starts with a miss and then adds a second to his day after going clean in the prone. This a real challenge in the stand. You can see him throw his head back and launch his rifle onto his back. Devastated with that result. Only hitting 1 of the final 5 targets. In an already challenging conditions, having to add an extra 600 meters onto his race.
We didn't get to see the young Latvian Luz Bears come in. He's only 16 years of age and has come from the Youth Junior World Championships, but one of the fastest. He's got the 25th fastest time coming out of chute number 1, just behind Eric Perrault, the 16-year-old superstar from Latvia, a real one to watch out for in the future. And he's in ahead of Sebastian Samuelsson, Johannes Daly-Shevdal, skiing 30 seconds, or the 32nd fastest skier on the course.
Well, as you speak of him, here he is. Ellard Lobzers of Latvia. Lobzers with, as you said, has got such an excellent performance at those youth and junior championships in Arbor last week. Looking to improve on a personal best set in the sprint at the Winter Games of 32nd. Of course, we'll be keeping our eyes on the top 60. With just the top 60 progressing, and it is Jack Jeffries of Great Britain currently with 72 of the 107 across the line, who is holding 60th and has now been pushed down, going to Connolly of Canada coming along across the line in 53rd. So no pursuits for Jeffries of Great Britain. Here's Jakob Kolbin.
Bronze and silver medalist at the Youth Junior World Championships in the junior category. He competed at the Olympic Winter Games, 20 years old.
Will be desperate to keep a clean record in this second shoot. Keep his hopes of qualifying for the pursuit on Saturday alive.
Well, a generous tip of the target there. 2/3 of the round hit the edge. The remaining third did knock down the metal.
Fabian Mühlauer of Austria missed from the prone position. Misses now. Limits it to just the 2. 8 out of 10 for Fabian Mühlauer.
The wind flags calm now, the conditions on the range improving. And the rainfall not as heavy as it was, but despite that, Luz Bears absolutely flying. He's not got the lead, but for a 16-year-old to be competing against the very best in the world, he's not doing it for the first time, of course. And Antolz in the sprint finishing 32nd with 2 mistakes.
Just an 8th World Cup start for the youngster.
Well, the question is, how do they foster this talent in the years to come to capitalize on his clear ability? He struggled with his shooting in the stand at the Youth Junior World Championships, missing 3, losing out in the gold medal at the final visit to the range. But now with 2, he'll be gutted with that, especially given how well he's skiing.
He's yet to qualify for a pursuit on the World Cup. Of course, he did so in the Winter Olympics, so he knows he can get there. Could still get there with a quick final lap today.
Well, he's used to skiing in these conditions, of course, in Arbor for those Youth Junior World Championships. The slushy snow was hideous and painful to get the skis cut through. And this track here today, it does look to be holding up quite well. The rain really making the snow compact somewhat.
A 9th World Cup start for Yamamoto, who set a new personal best in the individual in Contiolati, just outside that today. Feature of Italy, perfect 10 out of 10 in the range. And it will be a result that finds him just outside the top 30. Trickle ahead. perfect performance in the range.
Sebastian Samuelsson up at 315 points, with Eric Perrault not making the gains on the Swede that he'd have hoped for. He's still 45 points down behind Sebastian Samuelsson. Perrault in second, or well third, behind Jack Hummel, but of course that will unlikely stand the test of time.
They're a passionate set of fans at that 7.9 kilometre mark, chanting the names of each of the Estonians who come by. As we see, bib 100, Malik Mackels of Belgium, come in for shooting 2. Just a handful of athletes yet to come through this point. We've got 97 out of the 107 having gone through the time check at the end of shooting 2.
Sinks his left elbow down onto his hip, relying as much as possible on the skeletal structure of the body to perch the rifle up rather than muscle. Well, that's painful. Missing the first and missing the last. Some of the names that I'd have expected to perform today, Ponce Loma down in 39th with 4 mistakes. Finally, his ski speed has degraded, and arguably for the first time in 2 seasons that we've seen that. Total course time 31 seconds back off Legride, 10th, unusual for the Swede.
Well, some laughs from Kenton Fielmeyer, who secured the flower ceremony, finishing 5th. He'd have been desperate to come to finish on the podium, but of course the top 5 all with perfect shooting today, including Kenton Fielmeyer. Having roared on, Losbergs 44th for now through that time check, looking to qualify for the first time into a pursuit on the World Cup. Yamamoto starts with a miss. He's already just inside 2 minutes down on the time of the leader at this point, Jacques Lam.
Well, Losbergs is only 6.4 seconds ahead of Ponce Loma at the 7.9 kilometre mark. But imagine being able to say at the age of 16 that you're beating in a 10 kilometre race at the 7.9k mark the Olympic pursuit champion. We just saw Zhorgov of Bulgaria go past our screen there, one of the heroes of the Youth Junior World Championships, claiming the Mastart 60 youth victory, having come back from a very early fall and beating Losbergs despite the fact that he was over a minute behind at stages throughout the race.
Making just his 4th World Cup start today, Zhorgov. There's Jake Brown battling to try and get into the top 60, and he's there, but it's not by a huge amount. 59th.
Just as Losbergs approaches to knock him down. So that's not looking good for Jake Brown, who's now in 60th, just been bumped.
And it's looking very good for Losbergs in his quest to replicate what he did at the Olympic Games. He finished 32nd in the sprint and then dropped down to 47th in the pursuit, but even qualifying for the pursuit was a huge achievement. Sjöqvist towards the finish line, well outside of the time required to be in Saturday's pursuit. Kolben. 3 misses on the day for the 20-year-old. What a bright future he has, and he'll be hoping that this time next year he will be walking away very proud of what he can achieve here on home snow at the World Championships. A shake of the head today, 65th outside of the time required for the pursuit. Of course, he's had some exceptional results in the last 18 months, including a 12th place finish in Östersund in the individual, 32nd he finished at the World Championships in the individual, so qualified for the pursuit and finished 42nd in Annecy-le-Grand-Bonnard last season as well. And that still is a man who's just 20 years old, the future looking very bright indeed for him.
It's always good to remember how much this sport hurts, and you can see that when the athletes crumble across the line, curl up in a ball of pain. What a performance from Fry today. 30.3 seconds behind the leader, Legride. A super talent from Norway. One to watch, likely to be up at the top of the order next year.
Yeah, he's done more than enough to secure under 23 globe as well. Brown, 2 minutes and 22 seconds behind the time of Sturla Holmlegard, who has secured his 60th podium today as Losber's across the line, well and truly securing that first pursuit on the World Cup. 16 years old, what a talent. Out on the course, Mark Mackles. His opportunity qualified for the pursuit disappearing as those 3 misses. They're clear of the target. 5th for now. He's followed few by bib number 97, Bradford of Australia, one of 2 Australians competing today. And there is Sturla Holmlegard. 60 podiums across the World Cup, World Championships and Olympic Games. Szajolski of Poland, clean shooting in the stand, but missing 2 in the prone. And not having that edge on the skis costing him today. 93rd he finishes.
Well, it was an early starter from Lombardo. 24 was the bib he wore, and finishing in 8th, perhaps not receiving all the recognition he deserves for that fantastic performance today. And Hornig of Czechia in 9th, and ahead of Iliev. It's been a while since Iliev has been inside the top 10.
Well, those two sharing exactly the same finish time. Coming across the line, 52.2 seconds at the end of the day behind Sturla Holmlegard. So a joint 9th place, Vyacheslav Hornig and Vladimir Iliev of Bulgaria. And here is the young star from Bulgaria, Shorgov. 2 misses today, and outside of the time required for the pursuit.
Well, I suspect that Iliev caught wind of the fact that this youngster was going to be racing and decided he needed to do something special today so as not to be shown up by this man, Georgi Zorgov, on his 4th World Cup race. He is a super talent. And it's so great to see Latvia, Bulgaria, Estonia, all with these unbelievable talents. I think Latvia proving to be one of the nations to watch out for in the future, with Wolfa and Esther Wolfa and Blaidela. doing such amazing things as well in the junior categories.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Latvian success shared across both genders.
It really shows a strategy, not just the hopes that they can encounter upon a super talent that they can foster and grow, but actually that they can create a platform that super talents and others alike can arrive on and then really have their potential realized within a system. Latvia is doing something fantastic, and it's wonderful to see, partly due to the fact that Andrei Rasaguyevs has done such a great job at spreading the word, essentially, with his great results over the years.
Mackles across the line in 86th. This is on the day for the Belgian. And here is Noah Bradford. 9th World Cup start for the Australian. Born in Sydney, racing on the World Cup.
Well, one of my favorite races of the season was by this man, a victory by this man, and I encourage anybody who has not yet seen it to go and watch it. The Mass Start 60, the youth men's Mass Start 60. He started the race with a fall, crashing right beside the V-boards, just out the start gates, found himself a minute behind on lap 1, and then step by step came into the range and was climbing up the order, but Luzber's was such a dramatic lead, only at the very final time of asking, dropped targets on the range, and Zorgov was the one to capitalize on that error from the Latvian.
A 3rd World Cup start for Graham Benson. Just 19 years old, part of the British team that ran out last week in Kontiolahti. It's the first men's relay team in over 10 seasons on the World Cup. Great to see Britain able to field a relay team of 4 men. And the development there on the same side as well, and it won't be too long before we see that replicated for the women. Frisk of Denmark across the line in 95th.
Looking at the ski speeds from the Germans today, we have Philip Navrat with the 3rd fastest ski time, 8.9 seconds back. Philip Horn 11th, but then you have to scroll right the way down to 45th to Fratcher and Strello. Fund was 22nd. But really slow skiing from Zobel today, 68th fastest, 1 minute 55 seconds down.
Our eyes on Shorgov. Bib number 107, our final starter. He won't be last by any means today. 2 misses. There's his teammate just up the road ahead of him. 3 misses for Bashir Zashev of Bulgaria. He's across the line in 84th. Alexander Mukin of Kazakhstan, 4 misses today, just 6 out of 10 he managed to hit. And the time of Frisk on his debut will pass. And so Mukin across the line in 99th. Well, the victory of Stella Holmlegreid seems quite some time ago now. Of course, a large field. We didn't see as many in the fields last week, but this time round in Otepää as the World Cup draws to its conclusion, a huge 107 on the start list for today's men's 10 kilometre sprint. And our final starter, and one of our last finishers, will be across the line. Shorgov will be the last to finish today and won't be last by any means.
And he's one to watch out in the future for sure. Sorry, Ellen. Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. It is this man who you will see for many, many years to come. He's only 18 years of age. He's a gold and bronze medalist in the youth category at the Youth Junior World Championships.
Tough day in the range for Phoenix Spark of Australia. Great to have two Australian men on the start list. And Spark, someone who we've seen a little bit more of over the course of the last 2 years. This is his 6th World Cup start. Lives in Oslo.
And he's
19 years old.
Yeah, he managed to hit 10 out of 10 in Imatra in Finland at the European Championships in the sprint competition. He didn't follow that through with a great performance in the range in the mass start 60, which followed the sprint, of course, but he has the capacity to get all the targets down, and that is a difficult thing for a lot of biathletes around the world ever to achieve. So good job to Spark there on that occasion. And to think that it's just day 1 of 4 in these snowy conditions, very dirty snow. The wax technicians will have their work cut out to get the skis cleaned and turned around after testing.
I just hear the roar for Phoenix Spark. Welcomed home. Bib 104, the last finisher today. Given a hero's welcome. And paying his respects to the crowd as well. Soaking up every moment. Across the line in 106.
He's done. Those conditions are rough.
They are indeed. There's Emilien Jacquelin taking the silver medal today. Celebrating with his coaches. Stella Holmlegreid, a 60th podium across the World Cup, World Championships and Olympic Games, and he is in the most unstoppable form. Philip Navrat back on the podium once again. Took the silver in Oberhof, and it's a bronze for the German here today in Otepää. Eric Perrault dropping down to 12th. Of course, tightly locked in the battle for the discipline globe. He's in 3rd in the sprint in 270 points, while Sebastian Samuelsson takes over the lead. Samuelsson finishing 7th today. It is, however, such a commanding lead that Eric Perrault has in the total score battle. 1,028 points. Sebastian Samuelsson in 3rd, of course. Tommaso Giacomelli ending his season early.
Well, Sebastian Samuelsson should be a little bit anxious about the upcoming races because Legride is proving to be in such good form. If he goes and wins the sprint in Oslo, well, he will be then on 355 points. Sebastian Samuelsson currently on 315, which means he has to get 40 points to match Legride, supposing Legride wins, and 40 points is of course 6th place. So with a repeat of today's performance, in Oslo, it would go the way of Legride for the Crystal Globe. And of course, a lot of things have to happen for those speculations to fall true. But nevertheless, Sebastian Samuelsson, although at the top, has several who could still challenge and depose him.
Well, absolutely, it's going to be a thrilling final week in Oslo. When you look at particularly those numbers in particular, a thrilling final day in the men's sprint. That will be on Friday, the 20th of March. Here are the standings in the total score. Eric Perrault, as we just said, leading the way with 1,028 points. Tommaso Giacomelli having to call time on his season earlier than he would have liked, owing to minor heart surgery after the mass start at the Winter Olympic Games. Isak Fry is leading in the blue bib. Of course, that denoting the under 23 standings, and today, of course, we'll add to his tally. Just finishing off the podium today, Isak Fry down in 4th, and you can see just the gap back to Vitaly Manzin of Ukraine.
Spoilersi kontsert kell 18.30, mille järgselt veel hirmut. Nii et homme saab üks korralik meelelahutus ja pidu olema ka pärast spordiprogrammi. Laupäeval ootab meid siis poole 12-st juba DJ Kristo Räävist. Pärast lõuna
see tulgu. Pealtnimi ette, õige pea oleme siis auhinnad tseremoonia ootel. Kus tänase päeva parimad on sinna tulemas. Nii et tänase võistluse võitja.
Sturla, congratulations, your second win in a row, your second clean shooting with the victory. How was this one for you? Seems like you are in a really good form now.
Yeah, I didn't think I was skiing so fast. I just tried to have an even pace, spread out my energy throughout 10 kilometers. So yeah, I was starting last in the red group. That gave me a lot of overview and control. So yeah, it was quite a comfortable race. It was tough for sure, but I knew what Emilia had done, and I knew what Kanta and Navrat and everyone behind me before me had done. So for me, it was just to ski a little bit faster, and yeah, that gave me motivation.
And what did coaches tell you on this final loop? Because as you said, you were behind Emilian 3 seconds after the second shooting. How did they motivate you?
Yeah, on my second loop, I was skiing with Emilia's third loop, so I knew what pace he had, and I was also, skiing. I got a gap to him, so yeah, I just knew that if I skied the same as I did last loop or a little bit faster, it would be okay. And then when I had heard my coaches say I gained more and more second, I mean, it just gives more motivation.
Thank you so much, congrats.
Thank you.
So the first flower ceremony of our time here in Otepää. And it is Sturla Holmgren who welcomes past Emilia and Jacqueline.
BMW IB World Cup award ceremony for men's 10-kilometer sprint in Otepää. Awards are presented by IBU Executive Board Member Mr. Franz Steinler, Mayor of Otepää Parish Mr. Jorma Liival.
And the Mayor of Otepää alongside IBU representation to present the medals, and first onto the podium, Philip Navlat. Took the silver in Oberhof, back on the podium for the first time since then here in Otepää, taking the bronze medal. This is best discipline by some margin, and this a 5th sprint medal that he has of his long career, now 33 years old, 174th World Cup start for him today, as he's presented with flowers and of course the mascot. Emilia Jacqueline, sunglasses on, cool as you like, and what a performance it was today to take the silver medal. Couldn't match Sturla Holmgren, but maybe, Scott, that's less painful in terms of the ski performance today as to what he had to experience at the Olympic Games, losing out on a medal by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, to Lagride again, that's not going to be a fun pill to swallow, but nevertheless, Jacqueline really is in the form of his life. He's never been this consistent before, especially not doing his level of audacity on the skis and behind the rifle.
So a 180th start for Sturla Holmgren today as he secures his 60th podium. Now all of those numbers across World Championships, World Cups and Olympic Games. It is spectacular, the career that he's had, and last year's total score winner in a league of his own as we close through this final trimester. And it has put the cats amongst the pigeons in the battle for this discipline globe as well, Scott, because you don't want to bet against him, very much like this point last year with the form that he's in. So confirmation of the podium. Sturla Holmgren taking victory, back-to-back golds for the Norwegian. Set Fry taking 4th, couldn't quite hang on to the podium today. Early starter. And then 2 Olympic champions rounding out the flower ceremony in Kenton Fiormae and Johan Olav Bottom. The handshakes all round. As they are presented with their flowers. As I think they were led up the garden path a little bit there by Kenton Fiormae, who was trying to lead them across to do handshakes with the podium and ended up on the wrong side. But everyone's had their handshakes and now everyone can receive their flowers.
Pretending he doesn't know which side of the podium to stand on. This man's been there more than anybody else.
So there we go. It all concludes the first day of action here in Otepää, and a quick look at the sprint score after 6 competitions. Just one more to go. That will be in Oslo next week on the Friday. Put it in your diary. You do not want to miss it. Sebastian Samuelsson will be in red, but what a battle he has on his hands if he is to take the discipline globe. Never secured a small globe, Sebastian Samuelsson. Could this season be the season? So we will be back tomorrow for the women's 7.5 kilometre sprint gets underway at the same time, 3:15 Central European time. And we hope you can join us then here on Eurovision Sport.